Welcome to Auto Foresight. For years, buying a Nissan Leaf meant making peace with one specific risk. The car itself was affordable, efficient, and practical, but the charging plug it came with was being phased out, and fewer public chargers supported it each year. That is what kept the Leaf out of the conversation while the rest of the affordable EV crossover segment started moving. The 2026 model is Nissan's answer to that problem. A full redesign built around the infrastructure question, not just the hardware. Whether the changes actually close the resale gap the old Leaf left open is what this video works through. The 2026 Nissan Leaf is no longer a hatchback. Nissan has confirmed the transition to a crossover body, taller, wider, and built on the CMF-EV platform, a dedicated electric architecture that the brand shares with no combustion derivative. That distinction matters. A dedicated electric platform means the battery is integrated into the floor from the ground up, rather than adapted into a space designed for other things. The practical result is a lower seating position relative to the roofline, a longer wheelbase of 105.9 inches, and a cargo floor that does not have the intrusions you find on converted platforms. The Leaf crossover arrives at a moment when the affordable EV crossover segment has become genuinely competitive. The pricing target, confirmed by Nissan USA, is $29,990, positioning it as the least expensive crossover EV on sale in the United States. For buyers who have been waiting for the segment to reach a price point that does not require a federal credit to feel reasonable, that number is the first thing worth noting. Nissan has confirmed a 75 kilowatt-hour battery paired with a 214 horsepower AC synchronous motor. The motor type matters here. An AC synchronous motor maintains its efficiency more consistently across varying load conditions than some alternatives, which means the range figure is not just a best-case laboratory number. Nissan USA confirms the maximum range at 303 miles. For a daily driver covering under 60 miles each day, that is a full week without plugging in, assuming, of course, access to a home charger. The battery uses active liquid cooling, which is the answer to the question that followed the previous Leaf for years. The older model used a passive air-cooled system, one with no active temperature management, and forum discussions among owners documented consistent range degradation in hot climates and slower charging speeds in cold ones. Active liquid cooling means the thermal management system actively moves coolant through the battery to hold it within its operating range. Nissan USA confirms the pack maintains a 150 kilowatt DC charging rate even in temperatures above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. For a buyer in Phoenix or Brisbane, that is not a minor footnote. That is the answer to the question the old Leaf could never cleanly give. And that brings the question thread to its payoff. The connector. Nissan has confirmed a native NACS port, the same standard now used across the Tesla supercharger network and adopted by most major manufacturers. The previous generation used CHMO, a connector standard that never reached broad infrastructure deployment and whose charger network has been contracting rather than growing. Forum discussions on r/electric vehicles had made the CHMO situation a recurring argument against recommending the old Leaf to anyone concerned about long-term ownership costs. The 2026 crossover removes that argument entirely. No adapter required. Native access to the widest fast-charging network in North America. The drag coefficient has been confirmed at 0.26, down from 0.29 on the previous hatchback. The improvement is meaningful in practical terms, not because most buyers will feel it at city speeds, but because it directly affects highway range at sustained speed, which is where the 303-mile figure has to hold up on longer journeys. The crossover silhouette achieves a lower coefficient than the old body despite adding height, which points to intentional aerodynamic work rather than a passive consequence of the shape change. Inside, Nissan has confirmed a dual display setup, either a 12.3-inch or a 14.3-inch widescreen configuration, depending on trim. The audio system is Bose Personal Plus with headrest-mounted speakers, a setup that delivers sound closer to the listener's ears rather than projecting across the cabin. Cargo space runs from 23.6 cubic feet with the rear seats up to 60.0 cubic feet with them folded, a range that covers both weekly grocery runs and flat-pack furniture. The NACS port integration is the headline. But the platform underneath is the more considered engineering story. CMF-EV is a dedicated electric architecture, not a shared combustion base with the engine bay repurposed. That design choice affects where weight sits in the car, how the suspension is tuned, and how future updates can be deployed. The platform has the structural room to support over-the-air updates without the compromises that come from retrofitting software architecture to a mixed-use base. Nissan has positioned the 2026 Leaf as the entry point to a lineup that is moving towards standardized electric infrastructure. 3 manufacturers this quarter confirmed native NACS adoption across their full EV lineups. The Leaf crossover is not leading that shift, it is catching up to it. The honest read is that this arrival is about 3 years later than the platform warranted. Whether Nissan's pricing compensates for that timing is the calculation each buyer will run. Nissan USA confirms the 2026 Leaf crossover launched in fall 2025 with a starting MSRP of $29,990. The target market is primarily the United States and the United Kingdom, where combined search volume for the model runs at around 9,800 searches per month, according to this week's research signals. No confirmed pricing has been released for the Australian or Canadian markets at this stage. The $29,990 entry point positions the Leaf below most direct competitors in the EV crossover segment before any federal tax credit application. For buyers who qualify for the full federal credit in the United States, the effective cost drops further, though eligibility depends on income thresholds and vehicle assembly requirements that vary by trim. What is worth sitting with here is not just this one model. 3 major manufacturers confirmed native NACS adoption in the same product window. 2 dedicated electric platform launches landed in the same segment in the same quarter. The affordable EV crossover space, which moved at a careful pace for most of the last decade, is now moving quickly in the same direction: lower price points, liquid-cooled batteries, and shared charging infrastructure. Whether that convergence produces a segment that retains value better than its predecessors, or whether the pace of change continues fast enough to make this generation look dated inside 5 years, is one of the more interesting questions for buyers sitting at this price point right now. Which direction do you think holds up? Drop that in the comments.